All right, let's talk about an epic. And I don't just mean a great story. I mean a story that's literally 10 times longer than the Iliad and the Odyssey combined. A story that makes the bold claim that it contains every single human emotion, every dilemma you could ever imagine. Today, we are diving into a true giant of world literature, the Mahabharata.
So, how in the world do you even begin to tackle an epic this massive? Well, here's our game plan. First, we're going to try and wrap our heads around its sheer scale. Then, we'll meet the rival families right at the heart of the conflict. From there, we'll witness the absolutely devastating war they start, explore the tragic aftermath, and finally, try to understand why this ancient story still hits so hard today.
Okay, so before we get into the characters, the drama, and the battles, let's just pause for a second. We need to appreciate the absolutely mind-boggling scale of what we're talking about here. 110,000, that is the number of shlokas, or couplets, in the Mahabharata. Now, to put that into perspective for you, it's not just a little longer than other epics. You could take the Iliad and the Odyssey, mash them together, and they would still fit inside the Mahabharata 10 times over. It is, by a massive margin, the longest epic poem ever written. It's not even close. And the epic itself makes this incredibly bold claim. It basically says, hey, every single aspect of human life, every joy, every sorrow, every moral problem, it's all in here. Just think about that for a second. The story sees itself not just as a narrative, but as a complete universe of human experience.
Yeah, and this is not just some collection of fireside stories. The Mahabharata carries the incredibly revered title of the fifth Veda, which puts it on the same level as the most sacred scriptures in Hinduism. So we're talking about a deep, deep well of philosophy, of ethics, and spiritual guidance, all traditionally said to have been composed by the great sage Vyasa. All right, so with that immense scale in mind, let's zoom all the way into the human drama at its core. Because for all of its cosmic scope, the Mahabharata is, at the end of the day, the story of a family feud. A really, really better one.
So the whole central conflict is between two sets of cousins. On one side, you've got the 5 Pandava brothers, the sons of King Pandya. And on the other side, you have their 100 cousins, the Kauravas, who are the sons of the blind King Dhritarashtra, and they are all fighting for control of the Kuru kingdom. Now, this conflict doesn't just pop up out of nowhere. No, it's a slow burn of insults and provocations that just keeps escalating. It all kicks off with jealousy, when the Pandavas build this incredible, magnificent city. This leads the head Kaurava prince, Duryodhana, to challenge them to a dice game, a game he knows is rigged. And in that one game, boom, the Pandavas lose it all. Their kingdom, their freedom, and even their shared wife, Draupadi, who is subjected to this horrific public humiliation. All of this leads to a 13-year exile that makes a devastating war pretty much inevitable. So, after 13 long years, all the peace talks fail. All the diplomacy goes out the window. And everything, I mean everything, builds to the climax of the entire epic, the Great War on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, where millions of soldiers gather for a conflict that will literally decide the fate of an age. But just as the battle is about to begin, the greatest warrior of the Pandavas, Arjuna, just freezes. He looks out across the battlefield, and what does he see? He sees his granduncles, his beloved teachers, his own cousins, all ready to kill each other. And he just throws down his bow, completely overcome with despair, and asks this timeless question: how can I possibly fight my own family? Now, the war itself is just this insane 18-day slaughter, but we can see the key turning points right here. It all starts on day 1, when Arjuna's charioteer reveals himself to be Lord Krishna and delivers the iconic spiritual teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. From there, the battle just rages, with these huge moments like the fall of the invincible hero Bhishma, the tragic death of the warrior Karna, and it all culminates in a final, brutal duel that ends the war. But here's the thing, it's absolutely crucial to understand this isn't just a war for land or a throne. The whole conflict is framed as a war for dharma. And dharma is this huge, complex idea. Think of it as duty, righteousness, cosmic order, and the right way to live, all rolled into one. This single concept transforms a physical battle for a kingdom into a profound spiritual struggle over how we're supposed to live our lives. So, the war is over. The Pandavas won. The good guys are on the throne, right? Well, this is where the epic gets really interesting and really, really tragic.
Because now, the focus shifts to the somber and absolutely devastating aftermath.
The victory is completely and utterly hollow. What's the point of winning if you're ruling over a kingdom of widows and orphans? Their throne is basically built on the bones of their family. The epic doesn't glorify war at all. Instead, it paints this heartbreaking, unflinching picture of its true, terrible cost.
And we learn that this isn't just the end of a war, it's the end of an entire age of humanity. It's just total devastation. With pretty much everyone they've ever known now gone and a new curse leading to even more destruction, the Pandavas finally just give up their throne. They set out on one last journey toward the Himalayas, leaving the world of men behind as a new, darker age, the Kali Yuga, begins.
So, after all this destruction, all this philosophical weight, why are we still talking about this story thousands of years later? What gives it this incredible staying power? Let's take a look at its monumental legacy. You know, one key to its legacy is its brilliant structure. This isn't just one long, rambling poem. It's meticulously organized into 18 distinct books, or parvas. Each parva works almost like a season of a TV show. It's like it's already divided into 18 seasons for you, with each one focusing on a different phase of the story, from the family's origins all the way to their final journey into the heavens. And you find these wild little details hidden inside this ancient epic. For instance, there's a passage that describes the world as a circular island, as if you were looking at it from the moon. It even says that from up there, you can see two parts that look like a fig leaf and two parts that look like a great hair. I mean, how cool is that? It's this beautiful, surprisingly specific piece of ancient astronomy, just tucked away in a story about gods and heroes. At the end of it all, the Mahabharata leaves us with way more questions than answers. Is this whole thing a tragic story of human ambition, jealousy, and just plain folly? Or is it a tale of some grand, divine plan that's unfolding through flawed, relatable people? You know, maybe the enduring power of this epic is that it refuses to give us a simple answer. It insists that the truth is messy, it's somewhere in the middle, and it forces every new generation to grapple with the endless complexities of Dharma for themselves.